The Federal and Pedesta Hospital jointly present the Kanyakumari Marathon 2025. This event is co-presented by Rojavanam International School. Run for Health on Sunday, May 4. Entry is free and all are welcome.
Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. I'm in Hyderabad for a 2 days Bharat Summit where about 100 nations have participated. More than 450 delegates are here to discuss and deliberate on a new global order which talks about a global justice. Joining me now is veteran Congress leader and former Union Minister Salman Khurshid. So thank you so much for joining. And first of all, I'd begin with what the aims and objectives of this kind of a summit. And I think Congress is holding this summit for the first time where we are seeing participation from more than 100 countries. What is the actual outcome which the Congress as a party is looking at from this particular summit?
See, this is an outcome of a Telangana government's hope of being able to show Telangana rising as a major thrust of their growth story. And when they came up with this idea, we thought it might be an interesting thing to use this as a platform to reach out to people across the globe who think like us and make Telangana a core sort of connect point with them, etc. It could have been done from other parts of the country as well, but Telangana sort of suited us and we picked on Telangana. We had tried something similar some time ago in Karnataka and so on. And the idea is that can we convert this into an annual event where something that is inspired by our work in India and our legacy of connections across the world could be streamlined into something more meaningful. And therefore, there will be an investment segment in which people interested in investment in Telangana will come. Telangana will do similar other events in technology and so on and so forth, also some cultural events. But this is an important moment so that in the world which is going through a churning process, the progressive movements across the globe with whom we identify and with whom we've had a legacy, can we bring them together to reflect upon the challenges that the progressive movements faces and what is the future that we can share together, essentially for global justice. So the very idea of justice that Mr. Rahul Gandhi has pushed in our country through various events that he has given so much importance to, essentially being social justice that we have committed in our constitution, but we don't see on the ground.
Is it just an extension of the Nyaya Sammelans which we have seen happening within the country? So it's an extension on the international
absolutely
front.
Except that everything in every country is not the same as in India. So there is much for us to adjust to, accommodate, learn from, and hopefully be able to give some interesting inputs to people who want to proceed with something similar in their countries.
Right.
But it's a meeting of minds and meeting of thought processes which will give us the way ahead and give the summit a meaningful moment in the crisis-ridden world.
What I understand from what you're saying is that Congress is looking at a pivotal role in bringing these alliances together, bringing together all these countries. But how does Congress as a party stand to gain from a summit like this, where you have so many international participants coming over?
Two things. There is an element, as you yourself suggested, an element of this which started in India and which is in India. That is to reflect on what would happen in India and how India's the fortunes of the Congress would turn around, hopefully. But Congress has a responsibility and has always had a responsibility about what's happening in the globe. It may get you votes, it may not get you votes. It doesn't matter. But it's a responsible government, responsible entity, responsible party that has always participated in what's happening in the world, from the NAM movement to now. And this is what? This is the 70th anniversary of the Bandung Conference. So there's a much legacy here that we can translate into modern times as to what we can do in the modern times. So we're not in government today in the center. We may be in government in the center tomorrow or day after. And when we are in government tomorrow, would we be prepared for a global outreach? And would we then be prepared for being comfortable with similar forces that are functioning in different parts of the globe?
Right.
So I think this prepares us well for the future. And it certainly gives us a lot of thinking. It gives us a lot of confidence. It gives us a lot of get up and go to do things within the country in order to change our fortunes.
We haven't seen Congress in the past, at least, working so much on the diaspora. Now, is this event really going to increase the footprint as far as the diaspora is concerned for Congress? Like India, say for example, BJP has a widespread, footprint of their overseas friends. So is Congress also looking at expanding that footprint in some way?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We have traditional diaspora entities across the globe. Very, very strong in the United States, very strong in the UK and other parts of Europe. But in this present enterprise, there are diaspora who come through the progressive movements, and there's diaspora that comes directly to us through whatever outreach we have. So diaspora plays a very important role. It plays a very important role in the politics of the world. I mean, look at the United States and look at UK, look at Ireland and other countries where diaspora is playing a very important role. Middle East playing a very important role economically. So all that will be a very significant part of the effort that we are trying to put in. And ultimately, I do hope that the Congress itself will continue to strengthen its links with diaspora and hopefully see the glorious days of the past again.
But does Congress also stand to gain financially from a summit like this? Because off and on we hear that Congress doesn't have that kind of money which we see BJP investing into. So does Congress stand to gain financially as well?
Financially, in the segment on investment, we are adding to the effort that Telangana is making for investment. So in that sense, in the backdrop of so much happening, the investment issues and the business issues will also be dealt with, and that's going to be done during this.
And you said you are going to replicate this in all the Congress ruling states?
Well, idea is that we do this once a year annually, and whatever states we have already, hopefully we'll get more states in the future, but whatever states we have already, now a year ago or a year and a half ago, we did something in Karnataka. Now we are doing it in Telangana. Let's see where else we can go. But we want to make this into an annual event, the Bharat Summit into an annual event. It's a message of India, goes out from a specialist point of view, which is the Congress point of view, and the progressive movement of the world coming together to ensure that this world does not slip into a non-progressive, let me just not use any other word, but a non-progressive atmosphere.
This summit is also coming at a time when India's foreign policy almost looks like in a shambles, because we are not having cordial relations. The entire approach of the government has seemed to go on haywire, whether it is relations with the neighboring countries or it is relations with America. And it seems that Modi government is not able to handle its foreign policy the way it should have. So is Congress also really going to work on that line as well, where they can come up with alternative and better foreign policy solutions, which the country is lacking at this point of time?
Well, we are already working on it. We were working on it, and we are conscious of the fact that the ground that we had laid for foreign policy in this country, right from independence, had been negatived by the BJP. The idea of non-alignment movement was overtaken by events. But the very idea of non-alignment was completely dumped, in fact, questioned by the foreign policy formulations in this government. And today they realize that they're coming completely round back, the wheel is turned completely. So when you have Ukraine and Russia, when you have Gaza and when you have Gaza, Palestine and Israel, when you have something similar in parts of Europe, they seem to be wanting to come back to that. The very idea of being aligned with the United States and moving away from what they thought was a wrong decision for us to have remained in the non-aligned movement, that again is coming under massive questions.
So will this particular summit, since you have a participation from so many nations, so will this summit at the end of 2 days will have an alternative solution to the Trump's tariff order, which he has brought in? Something
there is something that we must say on tariffs. Even if the government of India is not saying anything on tariffs,
So
we
you
have to say something on tariffs.
Right.
And what we have to say on tariffs shouldn't be something that creates any difficulty for the government, right? If they have a solution, they must come with it. We haven't yet seen any solution, but if they have a solution, they must come forward with it. But we must at least suggest some sort of solutions, and that we hopefully will when our declaration comes. We'll certainly do something of that nature. This is something that concerns the whole world today. I mean, there is a pause of 90 days, etc. So a lot of people are breathing easy. But this is something that will come back to haunt us. Now, can we find a solution? Is there an answer? These are big questions. The United States will have to decide for itself in due course. The world has to decide for itself in due course. Now, whatever we have seen of the reactions in Europe, for instance, whatever we've seen with UK and so on, post-Brexit UK, all that will filter into what should be our considered policy and how should we take it. We still have some openings with the United States of America about the trade agreement. So let's see if the trade agreement can find us an exemption or a solution. May or may not. So there are still, it's all in the pipeline and it's all in progress. But some formulations must come from us, and I hope that they will.
Coming back to those difficult questions related to the Pahalgam terror attack.
Yeah.
Now, there was an all-party meeting, but people have been raising questions that it was a serious security lapse. It was an intelligence failure, to which the government also admitted. But how do you think that the accountability is going to be fixed in this case, where it was clearly visible, and Kiran Rijiju himself admitted on camera that they did not inform the enforcement agencies, and they opened areas like Pahalgam for the tour operators, and the tourists were killed like sitting ducks over there?
Well, whatever has happened is extremely, extremely unfortunate and very distressing, very painful. And we've said so. We don't want to convert this into a political spat because this is a matter of the highest level of national interest. And if the government is able to act with some objective sense, we would continue to support the government because this is a matter of national interest. I don't think that enough is yet visible. They've taken some steps, but those are fairly routine steps that could have been taken. Something more needs to be done. The issue, let me just put it like this, they were proclaiming for a long time that everything is being sorted out, Kashmir's problem is over. Now, what has happened has tragically shown that the Kashmir problem is not over. What needs to be done for it to be over is what we're waiting for. Now, one meeting where all the parties have been called is welcome, but it was a meeting in which the Prime Minister was not present. He preferred to go campaigning in Bihar rather than be present there. Or for whatever reason, he chose not to be present. Whenever we in the past...
Do you think it was deliberate? He deliberately
I don't know.
evaded that meeting?
This is how he chooses to do things. But whenever we did meetings like this in the past, the Prime Minister was always the one who invited everybody. Absolutely. Because that's where the buck rests, doesn't it, finally? So therefore, the Prime Minister should have been there. He wasn't there. His choice. But we still are waiting to know exactly what they will do. We are not saying...
What if the government doesn't tell the opposition what it's going to do, and like what we have seen in the past when there was a Balakot strike, nobody knew, and all of a sudden the decision was taken.
Well, something, if it's done, will be known.
And do you think they're going to...
I don't know. I don't know. The point is very clear, and we've made it clear. that you've got to do something that is lasting, something that's effective, something contributes to this problem coming to an end.
No, but what is that effective solution going to be? Because they've already taken 5 retaliatory steps in which they've suspended the Indus Water Treaty, they've closed the Atari border, they've downscaled the high commissions.
So what happens? You close the Atari border, and then 6 months down the road, you open the Atari border.
Yeah.
And then you suspend the treaty, and then 3 months down the road, you reverse the suspension. This is not a solution to Kashmir. We are looking for a solution to Kashmir, because we are not in government. We are not going to suggest solutions. But if they come with a solution, if they come with something that is effective and objective, we will support it. We've said so. It is our duty to support the government because this is a matter of national interest.
But Mr. Khurshid, India has always taken a stand that there cannot be any talks as long as terror exists. Now, do you think the time now has come where India needs to step out of that framework? They need to talk to Pakistan. How long will we continue to say that, no, we cannot afford to talk to Pakistan?
If I'm not mistaken, these are words that I've heard from Mr. Modi, right? Now, if he doesn't want to talk, let him not talk. But the point is, world over, if you talk to Americans, talk to Taliban, we won't talk to Pakistan.
That's true.
But the point is, under what conditions and on what terms you talk, that's very important. And we don't want to constrict the government by doing and saying things that will restrict their freedom to do the best for the country. We don't want to do that. But we are watching, and we're watching very carefully.
But what are the tough questions which need to be asked of the government? Because normally what happens is, like what you said, that the time is not right, we cannot get into a political spat. But BJP doesn't spare anyone.
No, they don't.
So do we need to give it, does Congress need to give it back to the BJP in a similar kind of a language? I'm not saying that don't express your sympathy or empathy with the people of Kashmir, but at the same time, how do you put the government on the mat on this particular issue?
I think we've given some thought to this during this working committee meeting. I think the leadership will come back and show us the path. Something will be done. Something has to be done. I agree. But let's not show impatience. Let's not show haste. Whatever has to be done will have to be considered thoughtfully and then done.
One last question, sir. Through this Bharat Summit, BJP keeps talking about, and also Prime Minister Modi, he's in love with a word called Vishwaguru. So are we trying to project, or is Congress trying to project Rahul Gandhi as a new Vishwaguru, through a platform like this, where we are talking about a new global order, or where we are bringing up all the progressive forces, the liberal forces together? So will Rahul Gandhi be seen as in some kind of a pivotal role?
Well, let me just tell you one thing. The people who've come here have largely come because of him. Every time we spoke to them and every time we tried to persuade them to come, there's only one question: will Rahul Gandhi be there? Will we be able to meet him? Will we get a chance to hear him, etc.? And therefore, it was obviously very distressing when this Pahalgam thing happened, because he had to rush there, and he's gone there, and he's there today. But we're still hoping, and so is everyone, that he will still find time to come here, at least come here tomorrow, possibly. And I do believe that he resonates. The things that he says and has said, both in India and abroad, resonate with a lot of people. And there's potential for a great deal of support that he can get from across the globe. Now, if he gets that support, I think it makes a world of difference to this country, and it makes a difference to the whole world. We are quite confident that he has that support. We need to build on that support. And he's willing to put in the time and effort to reach out to people. Now, what is the outcome of that, and what kind of accolades you can get and what kind of labels you can get is not something we are working on. We are working on his presence in the world. And he, I believe, is today, if you look around the world and the leadership that's emerging or has emerged, now, I think he has a very important place, and we would want to highlight that.
But what is the most tangible outcome you are looking at the end of this 2-day summit? In terms of Congress, in terms of Rahul Gandhi?
See, in terms of Congress, this will be an endorsement that what the Congress is doing at home in India is acceptable and endorsed by people across the globe. The movement, the progressive movement, is very important for the globe, and we hope that this will consolidate the progressive movement, give it a greater cutting edge, and make the profile of the Congress party and its leadership, including Mr. Rahul Gandhi, a very prominent profile in the world. This is not something which is far-fetched. This is something that's already there. We only need now to make the best of it and make sure that we are able to put in the effort that's required. So it'll be a return to the legacy that we have from the past, that India and the leadership from India will become a part of the international discourse.
Rahul Gandhi, back home for the domestic audience, he has been conducting these Nyaya Sammelans. So is Bharat Summit an international extension of that, which you said that you will try and replicate it in other states?
Absolutely, absolutely. The base of all that we are trying to do here comes from the idea of Nyaya that Mr. Rahul Gandhi has propagated. Nyaya in the country, Nyaya in the world. Global justice, right, based on the very idea of social justice that he is pursuing. And people are responding very well to it. And whether it's gender justice, or it is justice between communities, or it's justice for young people, etc., people are responding extremely well. And I think something very fruitful will emerge out of this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining.
The Federal and Pedesta Hospital jointly present the Kanyakumari Marathon 2025. This event is co-presented by Rojavanam International School. Run for Health on Sunday, May 4. Entry is free and all are welcome.